Hi, hello, hi, and welcome to all our hearts and minds. Thank you again for tuning in. We're here to discuss all things that have been on our hearts and minds, the good, the bad, the concerning and uplifting, or just straight talk. We're your hosts, Kimmy, our passionate heart,
Yeah.
and then there's me, Jeanette, our mind and chronic overthinker. Let's get into it.
Yes. Yes, we shall.
Okay, back with another episode. We got a good little streak going on. We're here. Let's just jump right into the checkup. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. It was a pretty good week.
Mm-hmm.
I was busy, but you know what? Sometimes busyness helps the week go by quicker. So, the work week, that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it's been starting to get a little bit cold now. So, uh, I've been pulling out the tea more often. You know what I'm
The
saying?
tea.
Pulling out that tea. But other than that, it was all right. How about your week? How was yours?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I could say it's pretty good. I'm in decent spirits. I mean, hey, um, which is a good thing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Anything? Yeah, that's about it. Okay, so we will jump into headlines. Before I jump into headlines, just thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Just our friendly reminder to continue to engage with our podcast. Rate
Yes,
it
please.
on rate it
Mm-hmm.
on Spotify and Apple. Leave us a comment, drop us a note, send us an email. Anything you want to do, we'd love to hear from you. So thanks again for tuning in.
Send us a kite. Jeez, on peas, man. Say something. No, I'm joking. We're so glad to hear from you guys when we do.
Yeah. And so yeah, we'll jump into the headlines. So we're gonna start with the glaring elephant in the room.
Yep.
And the glaring elephant in the room is the past US election.
Mm-hmm.
A reminder again that we are a podcast. We're based in Canada, but obviously the world watches the
Mm-hmm.
US, especially us being their neighbor, closest neighbor, one of their closest
Exactly.
neighbors. And so Kim and I decided we'll just do a quick respective. This our thoughts and keep it moving. You know, everything is so fresh. We don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like So we just thought we can't ignore it. So we'll say a little something something, and then we'll keep it moving, and we'll just
Mm-hmm.
keep an eye out on how things kind of pan out. I guess I'll just start my just personal point of view. And I think that the thing that if I were to say what's glaring and what this actually means for me, like why I have the feelings that I personally have, is I mean, there's this quote, I guess, that kind of encapsulates it, but it's like, damn. And it's from Maya Angelou, and she says, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I think that's just a piece of a quote that goes more, but I think that just encapsulates the meaning. And so for me, when I think about my overall thinking, is that the United States has really, it's dark and it's disappointing. And I really don't know where their country's going to stand. You know, there's people talking about a regime and a fascist regime and all these things. I don't know. Obviously, we don't want, nobody wants that. I don't think people voted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people voted for that, but it is the reality of how things stand and how things kind of fell down with the vote. And I personally believe that it came down to a lot of, I think it's how would I say it? I
Hmm.
guess yeah. I don't know, but anyway, there's a lot of POS discourse going around with the, obviously because it's so fresh, especially the first 2 days after it. And
Mm-hmm.
something that I saw was a lot of like black personalities and folks saying, which I think we already should have been doing that, but I think it's very clear now, is this distancing yourself from the POC discourse. POC discourse is not black discourse, first and foremost. First and foremost, and if people weren't sure about that, this is like the dead stamp of that. When people refer to people of color, they're not talking about black people, because POCs were the others that voted for Trump. And there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of those folks, particularly the Latino community, and even the poor whites. I think people don't know that this administration is, when we talk about tax cuts and benefits of economics, is for rich white men. And I think a lot of people voted with rich white men adjacency syndrome, like thinking that you fall in that category. But we'll see how that falls out. Don't want that to be the case, but that's what, I'm projecting to be the case in my thoughts. Um, and there's irony in him being voted in, because convicted felons can't even get a job, or a decent job, more or less, even to work for the government, a public sector
Mm-hmm.
job. And you guys voted for someone, a two-time convicted felon, to run your country. Another strange thing to
Mm-hmm.
witness. I don't want to, I'll leave this on a positive note, but again, just my POV. For me personally, it's a signal of a decline of an empire. And that's why I'm disappointed for the American people. And, progression always trumps regression. And this is a regression in terms of rights, beliefs, and values from my point of view. And so, again, America, it's looking kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And, I saw this video. It's an old video. It was around the time where Trump was being, around the 2016 election when he first came in. And I think there's a lot of rhetoric, but if there's people wondering why do people keep on talking about racism when it comes to Trump? Why is that like one of the first and foremost things? I'm not racist. I voted for the economy, or everything in between that they're coming in. But people have to understand that there is a portion of people behind the scenes that want Trump in office for that very reason. And there's this video that's going viral right now. Again, it came from 2016, and it's from the influencer Eddie Huang, who is he's like a chef influencer, and he had his own show, and he worked on Vice. But he has an interview with a self-proclaimed somebody who's not ashamed to say that they're like, maybe not entitled, but entitled, but a white supremacist. And Eddie
Mm-hmm.
asked him, he goes, "I want to know how you voted for Trump when you're so into facts." Because his entire campaign is not based in facts. It was all based on propaganda and emotion. And this person, his name is actually, let me say his full name. So he's not a faceless man. You can look up the article. His name is Jared Taylor. And
Mm-hmm.
Jared replies and says, "I voted for Trump for one reason only. His policies, if implemented, would slow the disposition of whites in the United States. If he were to deport all illegal immigrants, if he were to think very hard about letting any Muslims, all of this would slow the rate at which whites are becoming a minority." Eddie goes back and responds like because he's Korean, he's a immigrant, and he respond Asian immigrant, and he responds, he's like, so what you're trying to say is, it's a longer response, but it's essentially saying what you're trying to say is you wouldn't want me and my family here. And which Taylor responds, "That is true. At some point when my ancestors built this nation, they did not build it with the intention of giving it away to Mexicans or Chinese or anyone else." And Huang
Mm-hmm.
goes back and says, "But you're saying your ancestors built this country. You consider that a fact. But who built it was Black people, Native Americans, the Chinese people who came and built the railroads, Italian people." And then with the Italian quote, Taylor says, "They're Europeans, aren't they?" That continues. But I mean, basically, in a nutshell, there
Mm-hmm.
is a factor of people who are rallying for Trump because of that reason alone. They are scared, and they feel like their position of quote unquote power is at risk, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
now it's a form of self-preservation in some of their minds, right? And so that's something that we should never forget. And I think that's one of the core things of the people who support him, outside of like, people who just want food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
um and so that's my thought. And then my criticism to the two final points. My criticism to the feelings of the Democrats is that they did underestimated the people's feelings, just base feelings and emotions. They felt like people would figure it out. They were running on idealism and democracy and saving democracy and quote unquote joy. However, they left a big glaring gap in people's feelings, feeling neglected in the economy and the working class rhetoric. And there's even a letter that Bernie wrote, which I'm thinking Bernie Sanders too soon. Personally, Bernie Sanders too soon with that letter, talking about the working class being forgotten by the Democrats. And I think the Democrats just assumed that the people would remember that when Biden was voted in presidency, his first 2 years of his term was the economy bounced back. But people have a short term memory, and so they're just going to remember the last year that they're facing, and that's what their emotion was based on. So the
Mhm.
Democrats, that was a big gap in not in focusing on the idealism of democracy and thinking that people care about Trump being a criminal. Clearly, they don't. Yeah, I think they should have
Mhm.
picked up on that a long time ago. The fact that he became was voted the leader of the Republicans should tell you already.
Mhm.
And focus on the economies and people's base feelings. And people's base feelings is just what's happening right in front of them. They're not thinking about the future of society or America. They're thinking about right now, I'm struggling. All right. So my final hope, my final thing, no hope and prayers for the people who are upset about this. Take action. Particularly black people, take care of yourselves. Create and start your lobbying from now, and don't be talking about holding out votes at the time of the election. Nobody
Mhm.
should be doing that. If there is something you expect from the your whoever your political leader that you affiliate with, and regardless of the party, you should be lobbying and creating groups and lobbyist groups to petition that and make sure that's on the docket when the election is coming, not only at the presidential level, but at the governor level and local level. So build community and movements, and preferably behind closed doors. That's it for me.
Well, I'm gonna keep my opinion kind of short and sweet with this one. First, I wanted to point out that when have elections become like a soap opera? That's when it felt like. It felt like the soap opera has finally come to an end, and I'm glad that it's gone come to an end. Unfortunately, it's not really the way I would have wanted it to go. However, I cannot believe I'm saying that the United States has a convicted felon as a president. That's hard enough for me to even wrap my brain around. Seeing the decline in the US altogether over my lifespan so far, um, it is scary. It is scary to see that such a powerhouse is starting to crumble. Um, I mean, to be quite honest, I am holding out to see what will happen and what will transpire. I know that there's a lot of ideas that have been pushed about both parties. I hope that there is a takeaway from this that they need to add a third party, at the very least, because this was crazy. It was crazy to see this type of an election. Um, Politics were at one point was serious business, and it just has become a joke, and a soap opera. And so it's unfortunate that, a lot of people in the States are going to see a change that they could have never predicted in their life ever to come out of the United States. But I am going to reserve more of my opinion for what is going to happen, what will be implemented. I know it's a lot of talks of what we think will happen, and yes, there's Project 25, and yes, but at this point he's in. So it's what to do after. Um and how to manage the country, and what it's going to look like, because it's not going to look like anything of what we ever thought it to be. And I think that's going to be the hardest pill to swallow for the American people that are not happy with what has transpired, that Trump is in office. I do agree with you when you say that yes, you need to lobby, and you might want to maybe start looking outside of the states, which I'm hearing a lot of people are doing. I'm not saying that everybody in the state should just up and leave. I'm not saying that. However, if it really is a problem for you in the long term, then it's an option. It's something that a lot of people might want to explore, because I don't see this changing for the better immediately. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? A few years from now, I don't know. I don't know. We've all heard a lot of propaganda. We've heard a lot of things thrown out there. And so we have to see what will actually happen and what will transpire. So I'm just going to sit back and see what happens. And I guess I can say that as a Canadian, seeing that I don't have a vote. A lot of American people who are probably hearing us are going to say, well, why are you guys so invested? It's not your country. However, the United States affects us greatly. And
Mm,
so, we are neighbors to the United States, and things that happen there do affect us Canadians. An example of that would be tariffs.
mm.
So,
Yeah.
um, you know, he's already said he's going to do a whole lot of stuff with tariffs. Yeah, at this point, the soap opera has finished, and we have to see after the dust has really settled, because I feel like the dust is still up there. It's all in our face.
Yeah.
So, like, I think the dust needs to settle a little bit more,
Yeah.
and people's emotions need to settle, and so we can think clearly
Yeah.
and think clearly towards the future. And so, whatever that's going to look like. What I will say is that more people should be looking to God, because I'm saying, I mean, like, you need hope in your life. You need hope. So, and God will give you that. So, I think more people should be turning towards their Bible. But that's just how I'm built. You know what I mean? That's how I'm looking at it. Like, yo, the end of days, brethren. We in the end of days. Okay, so you need to focus on, maybe getting right with God. Because at this point, I don't know. He's the only one that's gonna really save us. So, um, but with that being said, I'm just gonna. I need the dust to settle. There's still a lot of emotions and all these flying in the air, and I understand it. I get it from both perspectives, both Kamala losing and Trump winning. I see it from both sides, and I understand it. And to be quite honest, I said to you that if I were an American citizen, I don't think I would have been one of those people undecided. That's just me. Hey, I mean, things could be said about both parties. Um, and so with that, you know what? I do hope that the American people do come together and stop this divisiveness, because at this point, you know, um, I think you're up against a bigger beast, and so the American people have to really understand and what's really going on behind the scenes that we're not seeing, because there's a lot that's happening behind the scenes and a lot of agendas being pushed that we don't even really know about, and or have any insight on. So, I cannot believe that there's a convicted felon running a country. Period. I don't care what country it is. I've never heard of that before in my life, until now. And so, I mean, American people, listen. My heart goes out to you because of the division that it's causing. It is causing a lot of division, and I think as a country right now, just coming out of the pandemic and just trying to get back to on our feet and everything else like that, I think it's sad that there is this much division, because of an election, and I understand why. But anyhow, that's how I feel about that. I'm gonna wait to see what more is popping. I know Trump was never supposed to be a president. He's a businessman.
Mm,
Period. He's a businessman, and he's running the country like a business. So I just want to put that out there. We forget. We often forget that he was just on a TV show firing people not that many years ago. Okay, this is a businessman, so we gotta understand that this businessman doesn't necessarily care about the people that are within the business. So anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll see what pops off in the states, and I can't. Well, one thing I think we should be hopeful for is that he can't run again. If the United States makes it through the next 4 years, that's it. There will be no more Trump. He can't run again. So I don't know. Maybe that's something to hope for. At this point, if I was an American, that's the only thing that would keep me alive because I'd be like, listen, okay, I'm done with this shit. But anyhow, let's move on. Let's move on.
Okay.
See what happens with the American people. I yeah, yeah. We'll see. We'll see
All
what goes
right.
on.
So yeah, and those are just, it happened this week, so we just thought to have a little 2 cents, a little 2 Canadian cents.
Yeah, and
Um,
after this, I don't have nothing left. Okay,
yeah,
after this, I ain't got nothing left for you people about Trump. You understand what
yeah.
I'm telling you? This drama, this soap opera. Okay, I'm done with it. I'm done with this soap opera. I want to hang this soap opera up. Like I'm done.
Mm. Okay, so we'll move on to our next topic. Songwriter, composer, musician, genius, Quincy Jones. His middle name is actually Delight. That's a cute little middle name. Quincy Delight Jones Jr. He passed away this week at the ripe old age of 91. And he had a crazy legacy. Actually, I'll recommend a couple years ago, his daughters did a documentary on him that's on Netflix. Very well done. I mean, we always know the accolades, but seeing his journey, it's like this guy's journey was crazy. Okay, so yeah, he passed away this week. There's no actual particular reason. I mean, at 91, it could just be old age. Quincy pretty much came up to be known. I think he's most widely known as the producer that worked with Michael Jackson for Off the Wall, Thriller, and a little bit for Bad. So that is one of his reigning credits. But he actually came in. What he really got famous was doing movie scores, movie composition scores. So we know him for The Wiz, which is where he met Michael Jackson. The Color Purple, which is a beautiful score, actually one of my favorite works from him, and In Cold Blood. He went on to do many scores, even the one for Fresh Prince, all type of things. But that's what he's mostly known for. But if you look him up on Wiki, his early career was actually in jazz. He was in a jazz
Mhm.
band. And he's played with many genres: folk music, jazz, bossa nova, Latino jazz. He's done actually everything.
Mhm.
But I think I'll just end in saying that he was a brilliant mind. He was one of the godfathers of the music industry, particularly the black music industry. And you know what? Right now, the black music industry and people in power are under intense scrutiny. But I mean, hey, anybody in power is kind of questionable if you ask me. So,
Well,
but yeah, so R.I.P. Quincy Jones.
yes, R.I.P. to Quincy. He has done a lot of things within the black community.
Yeah.
He has put so many people on, like for real, for real. I'm not going to mention one of them because I want this to be about Quincy.
Mm,
You know, whenever you mention this particular person's name, it just Techway, and
mm,
so he's helped a lot of people. He has been mentors for many people. The type of music that he's produced, like working with the likes of Michael Jackson, like I'm just over it. Like it's done. That is a career height, if you ask me, working with such brilliant talent like Michael Jackson. 91. He has been around for quite some time. This man has seen a lot of things come and go. And so I'm so happy that he was such a legacy,
mm,
and that he ended his life still a legacy. Um, there's been talks,
mm.
but not enough to destroy this man's
No.
his contributions to music. And he's such a talented man, like within himself, like as an artist himself. And
Yeah.
so, but I was doing a little research and I was hearing a little bit about, Quincy had his life was very interesting.
Yeah.
He was very sickly though, but
Hmm.
still able to. He's gone through many surgeries.
Yeah.
He's had, I think it was a brain aneurysm.
Yes, I read that. I was like, what? He nearly died in the 70s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the man nearly died.
That's
Yeah,
why I had to
because
stop playing the trumpet.
that exactly, and he was talented trumpet player, and so having to not play that again, from what his doctor said, you play that one more time, you're done. The different aneurysms, they were able to control them, and so consequence of that was that he can't play. But he was a talented man and he saw so much in music. If you just think 91, how much he has seen music change, because music has evolved quite a bit.
Mm.
And so he has been a part of that evolution. And so RIP to Quincy Jones. And thank you for your dedication to music,
Hmm.
period. Thanks,
Oh,
Quincy.
R.I.P. Quincy Jones.
Mm
Okay, so we'll move on to our next topic, which was Bronny James, little Bronny James, well, not so little Bronny James,
hmm. Mm
was in the news this week because he was sent to the G League. And for those of you, everybody was talking about it when what do you call it, when he was recruited? What do they do when they do the draft? He was drafted, sorry,
hmm. Mm hmm.
to the Lakers alongside his father, which was like the first time in history I think that's ever happened,
Mm
as a 55th pick.
hmm.
So
Right?
definitely not the cream of the crop.
No.
Sorry.
Just put that 55 out there. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so let's be real.
Yeah.
And so that
Not the top,
55,
not the top 5, not the top
no,
10 or
not the
20.
top, not the top.
Sorry, just had to
And
put
so,
that out there.
yeah, and so,
He has nepotism, people. Shit.
yeah,
Okay.
and
I
that's
can call it out if I want,
and that's
damn it.
fine. We talked about it when it happened.
Yeah.
We said our 2 cents when it
Yeah,
happened.
55.
Um,
Okay.
well,
Oh.
somebody had to be the 55th pick, and it happened to be him. And
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
so just explain. So the G League is pretty much the minor league organization of the NBA, and it's kind of like I would say it like it's like a potential talent pool. So obviously there's different ways to get into the, there are obviously limited ways, but there are different ways to get in.
Hmm.
So one of the ways to get in without,
Yeah, I have a father named LeBron.
well, yes,
Just okay, sorry.
okay, that's
That
part
was
of it,
my
yeah.
last nepotism thing. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you're right. So you're right. That is one way, but the
Mhm.
other way is, especially if you're not getting drafted from school or you're injured or
Mhm.
whatever, is to get into the G League, and that's kind of like another talent pool to be recruited from and work and play for the NBA. So he's there, and it's pretty much a development league. It's where you go to get better. It's where you go to get to develop and mature in your game,
Huh.
and that's what's happened. I think even I think they had their first game today. Yeah, they announced it this week, and he was sent there, I guess, to quote unquote develop, and he's going to spend the season there. So yeah, so he's just going to work on his game. I have no doubt that he will be back in the NBA, but I think this is just a way to kind of build up confidence, build up strength, and so on and so on. I forgot that last summer he had a cardiac arrest, and so it's
Yeah,
actually no short of a miracle that he actually even was able
placed. I
to
know.
be, yeah, so all of that. So the fact that he's playing regardless if it's G League or NBA, it's like the fact that you can still play is a blessing.
But I think
So
they need to take it easy with him. I'm sure they have a whole medical team around him, watching him and all that, right? However, sometimes people push themselves past they don't understand what their limits are, right?
mhm,
Especially when
yeah,
you never used to have any limits, and then now all
mhm,
of a sudden you're placed with limits. So, you know, um I just hope that they watch him closely,
Mm.
This is a very vigorous sport.
Yeah.
So I just want them to be careful with him. It is good that he's going to the G League to get stronger and to, build more. I don't think he needs confidence per se.
Mm.
But I can see him needing to strengthen
Mm.
himself. You see these guys, I'm telling you, they start in the league and it's like within a year they blow up to almost twice the size.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And it when you see it in actuality, it's like, wow, like what are they doing over there like what's happening? You look like double your size. Like what happened to you? Your arms, everything. But this is what happens because they're playing so intensely, and they're building muscle as well, right? I mean, you got to when you're taking these, basketball, it doesn't seem like it's a contact sport, and it's not
It's a very
necessarily,
physical sport
but it's
now.
a very physical
Nah.
sport, and at sometimes it can be a contact sport.
Yeah, it's gotten more contacty. Put
Yeah,
it that way.
now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Before it used to be more about plays and how you
Hmm.
do plays, but now it's more like aggressive, and so you got to be strong, right? You got to be strong when you're in those different arenas. You got to be strong, you got to be focused. And so I'm glad that they're really putting in time with Bronny and giving him time, and not expecting him to just poof, like bounce back like his father. No, he's not his father. And
Hmm.
I just want us not to forget that Bronny is not LeBron. He is not. And I think that some people do forget that he's not. There's a
Yeah.
high expectation because you're LeBron's son. But if you look at LeBron's career, LeBron didn't start out, super sailing either. He had to work his butt off to get to
Hmm.
where he is right now. So but it'll be interesting to see, Bronny in action because I haven't seen him in action yet. So it'll be
Yeah,
interesting
they're
to
seeing
see.
through the games that he played. I think it's 13 points against since he started. He just 13 points.
Oy vey, it's okay.
But that's okay. He's a bench player and everything.
Well,
So,
it's because of his heart attack.
well, yeah, yeah.
They
And
probably have to put him as a second string only because of his heart attack. But I'm telling you, if he never had that heart attack, there's no way LeBron's gonna have his son sitting on the bench. No way in hell. We're gonna pull out that nepotism card. We sure will. Oh boy. Yeah, but anyhow, good
yeah.
luck to LeBron, his son Bronny. I do hope to see great things from him. I do.
Yeah. Okay, so all the best to Bronny, and we're going to jump into oh, okay. I don't think we talked about this. So One Direction member Liam Payne passed away a couple weeks, or actually, I don't know, maybe about a month ago now, to be honest. And it was, it was a weird, freakish thing. He was a part of the group One Direction.
Mhm.
One Direction was in a boy band when I had gone past boy band stage in my life. So I
Mhm.
was never a
Mhm.
super fan or anything, but they were a massive group. And the
Mhm.
now famous Harry Styles came out of that group, and everybody, they're internationally very, 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 very successful. And unfortunately, in the music biz, especially when you come from great heights and you don't maintain that, a lot of
Mhm.
people can fall into bad. I mean, maybe the bad habits were always there, but it gets worse
Right.
when you no longer might have that big top of the charts type of success, right? And so he was known for being a little bit having a drug problem, and that was kind of fueled from not having as much success as he had when he was in the group.
Mhm.
And he was in Argentina for around, I think it was a birthday week thing, and he ended up passing away by falling from a hotel balcony.
Hmm.
Of course, there was a lot of speculation on drug use and everything like that. And it did come out that at the time he was intoxicated. So, fast forward to this week, and three people have been charged in connection of his death.
Hmm.
I think I bring this up because this is a new trend we've been seeing. There's nothing new with celebrities dying of drug overdoses. That's
Mhm.
that's unfortunate. That's not new. That's been going on from the beginning of time of entertainment, of like, as
Hmm.
entertainment industry as we know it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And so that's not new, but what is new is we've been seeing a lot more people being like drug dealers, or suppliers, whoever you are, assistants, whoever is pumping or providing or supplying the person or celebrity with drugs. They're being held accountable. And I actually like this trend. You know what? The person's going to do drugs regardless. But it is, I think it is, that is the dark, one of the dark sides of of the entertainment industry, is that there's somebody around them who may work for them or like them or be a friend, and it's like
Hmm.
you are helping this person kill themselves,
Yeah, in
and it's like
essence.
you're an accessory to murder.
Well, this is
um
why drug dealers are never, they're always frowned upon in society, because you in essence are killing them.
but and to me, the drug dealer, I don't even have an issue with the drug dealer. The drug dealer is a drug dealer. Yes, you have you have a demand, you have to supply. My problem is the friends and employees of the celebrities, um supplying these people. If they go, like, say Liam, this person, they were talking about Liam Payne. If Liam went and by himself to go to the drug dealer, hey, I don't think the drug dealer should think, because, you know, unless there's what is that, fentanyl? Unless there's fentanyl in it, then it's like, okay, now that's a problem. But anyway, that's complicated. Anyway, I'm saying is I appreciate and respect this trend of looking at the people who supply these people with the drugs. I think there's some accountability. I don't think they need to go to jail for 20 years. No, I don't think that. But I do think they should be accountable for the role they play in the death of somebody that could have been avoided. Because if they want to take drugs, they should go take drugs by themselves. Don't you be a part of somebody's potential death. And so my hope is that this will deter other assistants, employees, whatever, to not participate in that destructive behavior. And so on Thursday, the prosecutors confirmed that they had charged a hotel worker, the alleged drug dealer, to your point, and
Hmm.
and a friend of Liam Payne, accusing all three of supplying Payne with narcotics before his fatal fall in the hotel in
Hmm.
Argentina. Um, yeah.
Well, just like how when you go to a bar, there's a
Hmm.
cutoff point,
Yeah.
right? Like a bartender can see you and say, okay, you've had too much, and cut you off.
Hmm.
Well, I feel like, I'm not endorsing other people supporting your drug habit. If you have a drug habit, you go and fend for yourself on that. I
Hmm.
don't think anybody should be involved with it, because it leaves your hands dirty. Like, it leaves
Yes.
your hands dirty as well.
Mm.
So, but we're not talking about regular people here. We're talking about
He's right.
superstars.
Powerful, influential people.
Okay, right. So superstars, I wish that those rules would apply to them, but the reality is that because they have money, they have assistants, and they have managers, and they have this person, stylists, and all these people around them, that a lot of these people are drug dealers within themselves.
Hmm.
Right? So they don't even necessarily have to go to anybody. He could be there getting his hair cut.
Hmm.
And the stylist be like, "Oh, well, I noticed that you're kind of tired. Did you want something to keep you up?"
Yep, that's how it starts. Yeah.
Right? Like, it's that innocent. Is that, like, innocent in the sense where he had no chance,
Yeah, no, it's a common story actually. You
right?
hear about these
So,
musicians.
right. So when we're talking about regular people, regular schmegular people, I feel like there should be cuts off. Even if you're a drug dealer, like, yo, you don't see this person's life is gone to shit. At that point, we need to cut them off. At that point, we can't be selling to them. And that's just on a, every man type of level. But when we're talking about celebrities, they have access to drugs you wouldn't even believe. You wouldn't even believe. It's pretty much being thrown in their face
Hmm.
24/7.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, And I'm sorry to say this, but there's some music labels who will try to get you hooked on drugs because they want the most out of you that they can get.
Mhm.
Giving you downers so you can sleep, or giving you uppers so you don't sleep, or
Mhm.
whatever it might be, right? So Leah, when I heard about this, I thought it was kind of shady. I
Yeah.
didn't think that he jumped off, drugged or not.
Yeah. Because normally back in the day, especially if an artist isn't really known for having a drug problem, they would try and just say he did it himself. But it was interesting how it was first reported.
Hmm.
And we talked about Shanquilla Robinson last week, where she passed away and we know there's some with certain circumstances and everything
Hmm.
like that in Mexico. And what I found interesting, this happened in Argentina, and again, it could be obviously it's because he's a celebrity, and not only just his family loves him, he has millions of fans who love him.
Hmm.
And when I was reading this article on Rolling Stone, and how they spent hours investigating, they put 800 hours into,
Wow.
or they reviewed 800 hours of hotel footage to put this case together to charge these three people. Okay? They know from the person who was with him. I told you there was the
Hmm.
hotel worker, the drug dealer, and an alleged friend. Supposedly, the first person, he was with him on a daily basis in Argentina, and he's accused of abandoning him following the death. And of course, he supplied the facilitation of narcotics, and he could face 5 to 10 years. This is Argentina
Hmm.
doing the work, eh? It's not
Okay.
Britain. Okay? This is Argentina police work.
On
Argentinian.
Mexico. Okay. Okay.
Sorry, but I'm just
No, I'm
saying
gonna call a spade on that one because
because
Argentina's putting in the work.
he
They're
put in
putting
the
in the
work,
work.
and
Mexico, on the other hand, I don't know what the hell you're doing with Shaquilla's death. Oh, now I don't.
mm,
What kind of police work was that? But
yeah.
anyhow.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so to your point, it makes me wonder, is like, why did they feel the need to do this deep investigation? Like,
Hmm.
yes, there's always a scapegoat. So I'm not surprised, especially because it's a celebrity, that they were looking for somebody who may have supplied him with whatever, right? But I am surprised that it went this deep. I'm not gonna lie. But you know what? We don't know what's happened right now. These people have just been arrested and charged. We don't know if they're actually going to be convicted. But I
Something
appreciate
must have seemed off with that murder,
the scene, the
with the crime
story.
scene.
Hmm.
It must have been off. Especially we don't know what kind of drugs he had in his
Yeah,
system,
yeah,
right? And so certain drugs will cause hallucinations or will cause, so I'm just glad that they're not just letting this man's death go as, oh well, he's another music head
yes,
and
yes,
he's another
exactly.
pothead or whatever, drug head or whatever. That they're not just sweeping it under the rug. They're actually doing some real investigation work on this, and whoever was with him that saw his deterioration, I hope you can sleep at night. Like, I really hope you can sleep at night because you're there watching this man like deconstruct right in front of you. Like, how is that possible? Like, how are you okay with that? I don't know. Teach their own. They must have been, whoever it was with him must have been high too, because
Joe, probably.
I don't know how you could be sober and watch that. So
Mm.
hey, teach their own. Um, but it is sad that you see this has become it's not taboo anymore. It's not. And that's the sad part, is that it's not taboo anymore. It's happening a lot. So RIP to you, Liam. RIP to you. And you were a cutie too. A little cutie.
Uh,
Anyhow.
okay, so we'll move on to, I think, our last headline before we jump into our one and only segment today. So this week, Kai Cenat is doing a streamathon for the month of November. So I think it's 24/7,
Hmm.
30 days, just all stream going on with Guy. And he's doing it to raise money. Can't remember what he's raising money for. I think it's something with Nigeria. Some charitable reason that he's doing the streamathon.
Mhm.
And in the streamathon, celebrities have been coming through while he's doing this event. And this one of the guests was DDG, and DDG brought little Halo, which
Mhm.
is
You were pretty much right the first time.
That's true. That's true. They look alike. Yeah,
Shoot.
Halo is her little mini me,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
yeah, Haley Bailey's her DDG and Haley Bailey's son. And that boy is barely. He's not a year yet. He's probably
No.
getting. He's. I think December or January he'll be a year, but he's not even a year yet. And already we know DDG's been very, public with his son, but he's a public figure, and he makes money off of, I guess, online content and stuff. And so it is, he's gonna show his baby because babies do well in us online, right? It's just what
Mhm.
it is.
Mhm.
And so, but which is not new. So him being there with Halo to me wasn't unusual because that's something he would do. But um what wasn't but Haley was like, uh wait a minute now. And Haley, since their breakup, has been pretty quiet. She hasn't really said much. She's just
But
kind of
this kind of shows, a little insight as to why she probably broke up with him
mm,
or why they parted ways.
hmm
Like, I understand he's out here trying to be an influencer and a podcaster and a rapper and everything known to man. I get it, right? However, does this baby have to come with you? Like, does he have to? He didn't sign up to be your, prop.
yeah, and I think I think also it's like a generational thing, because like people of that generation, like social media is like a big part of their life. Like to you and I, it's kind of like it's okay not to have your baby plastered everywhere. Like it's okay. Like you won't feel like you're doing something strange by not posting your baby regularly on your page. But I think a lot of the generation under us is like that's normal. Yeah, you post everything that happens in your life, and if you have a kid, you should be posting them too. That's people's. I think, like seriously, I think they think that's.
I know.
Mm,
I
mm,
see that. I see
mm.
that, Jeanette. Here's the thing, though. Don't complain when people
Mm.
are up in your business.
Oh
See,
yeah,
that's what
no.
I could never
Mm,
quite understand,
mm,
right? I think maybe me being a millennial, I don't quite understand this. You put your business on Front Street and then get mad that people are commenting on your business on Front Street.
mm.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. Just don't put your business on Front Street. You know what I'm saying? But I can see what you're saying about generations, and this is the thing to do, I guess. But I side with Haley on this. So
No, yeah, I do. Like people, I mean, everybody's been kind of annoyed with everybody. They're okay. Since when she hid her pregnancy, or attempted to hide her pregnancy, or didn't announce her pregnancy like people wanted her to, and she just popped out with a baby, people have been pretty hard on her. That's and whatever, for whatever reason. Me personally, I'm like, it's not the end of the world, but whatever. So anyway, when Kai showed up on that stream, she tweeted again. She has been very quiet about the dismantling, the end of this relationship, but she went ahead and tweeted, "I was not told or notified, and I am extremely upset to have my baby in front of millions of people. I am his mother and protector, and saddened that I wasn't notified, especially when I'm out of town." That is where I'm with her. Sorry, I almost cursed. DDG, I'm gonna need to know where my baby is at.
oh, this man.
And
I
but of
just
course,
can't.
we know why he didn't, because if he were to tell her, she knows her answer would be hell to the hell,
No.
motherfucking no. Like simple as that.
Can you leave my baby at home?
And
Why
so
don't you
now
go by yourself?
she has to
Shoot.
see her son on this streamathon from wherever she's at. And I
Millions
could
of people.
understand she probably felt very powerless in that moment. And I think people should have sympathy for that. I think to your point, like going online and doing that opened her up for backlash. But I think she was trying to probably give him some backlash and get people to, um I don't want to say attack, but criticize him.
Mm-hmm.
But he has since come on and said that, telling people like to not bash her for her.
But
She's
like,
the.
stop, like, shut up with yourself, DDG.
Mm,
Like, I
mm,
need you to shut up, DDG, because what you mean don't bash her? Who you think they're coming for? You think they're coming for you? No. They're coming for the star in the
mm.
relationship. And it's not you. Like, miss me with it. Like, I saw
Yeah.
his I saw it and I was like, shut up. Like, I can't with you. You know damn well that you're using this child as a
Y-
prop.
yeah, and it did seem a little bit narcissistic because it's trying to make him seem like, oh yeah, I'm a good guy, don't, I'm protecting her. Like it was giving narcissist. I feel like
It
I.
was. Like, you created the whole drama and then want to turn
Right.
around and say, oh,
Right.
don't do that. Like, what else did you think was going to happen? You really think people give a shit about you? They're going to come for Haley first. Yeah, uh-huh. Because she's the star. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep it a whole bean with you. You're not the star. You're the clout chaser. Okay? You really and truly, a lot of people haven't even heard about this man until he got with Haley.
Mm.
Period. So, what did you expect? What did you really expect? For real, for real. Like, didn't you expect this to happen? Here's my thing. Sorry, I'll let you finish. I can't stand when men like try to do that.
No, no,
Like,
finish.
no,
No, finish your thought. Finish your thought.
I just can't stand it. No, but for real, for real. Here's how I feel about this situation. Haley, you teeter totter a little bit too much for me. I'm gonna be straight with you. She teeter totters too much for me. In one breath, okay, you wanted to hide your pregnancy. You didn't want anybody to know. But as soon as you gave birth, you showed us that you had a child. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay, I can rock with that because you're pregnant. You have the right not to be, have everybody up in your pregnancy. I get that. Okay, I'll let that go on. But you too have that baby and take videos and do all these things with him too. And you have millions of people who are going to want to know what you're doing. So this is where I'm like, maybe it might not be the most popular opinion, but I'm sorry. I can feel her helplessness in this moment. But you were doing it too. You maybe you don't take him anywhere, but if what you're saying is you're protecting him from the millions of people, I'm sure millions of people are watching you, Haley. And you have your son on your page, and yeah, you're at home, but you still, what are you protecting him from? The millions of people? Then if that's the case, then why are you doing it too? You too are posting videos of this child. You too are like, I don't quite get that part of it. And I can see how that could be a defense for DDG. Like, wait, hold on. So it's okay when you do it and you put it on your page, it's okay for you, but not for me? Why? Is it because I took the child somewhere and you didn't? So, what are we really protecting the child from? The millions of people or him being in situations outside of the home?
I think that's more what I would.
Well, that's what it seems like here for this situation.
Mhm,
But how do you explain that when you too put him, like what she said? I saw the post that she had made
mhm,
to him. And it sounded like what bothered her the most was that her son was at Kai Cenat's place in front of millions of people.
mhm,
That's what it seemed like.
mhm.
So I'm trying to decipher here: is it the millions of people, or is it the fact that he was at Kai Cenat's house? Because you put your baby in front of millions of people too. So is it that he was at Kai Cenat's house? And if that's the case, then okay. Either which way, I can understand how she feels as a mother. She has a divine right to protect her child.
Mm.
And nobody can tell her which way or the other to do that. That's her right. That's her picking. That's her child. She birthed that child. He has rights as a father too, and I understand that, but he is a little bit more immature. He's using his child as a prop. Because what DDG doesn't he didn't realize is that when he got with Haley, DDG went out the out the back door.
I
You
don't
don't
think
quite matter anymore.
he didn't realize that.
He didn't realize that. He thought it was gonna hype him up, right? But a lot of people don't like you for her, right? I mean, look, were we wrong? But
Well,
anyhow,
okay, yeah.
either which way, you have this child. He's a beautiful little boy, and I understand the need to protect him. But I will say you're sending mixed messages, Haley. You are. So when you start doing that, you got to understand that if it's mixed messages to me, can imagine what it is to him. So maybe we need to set some strong boundaries. Some strong boundaries that cannot be crossed when it comes to this little boy. But I'll tell you one thing, he is cute as pie. I love to see him. He looks just like his mama. Just I'm waiting to see a little piece of DDG right here. I can't find not one piece. Okay, not one little itty bitty piece. But he's so precious, this little boy. He's so cute. And so yeah, I understand as a mother how she feels the need to protect her son. But if you're gonna protect him all the time. All the time. So hey, I don't know. Maybe though, Kai Cenat though, Kai Cenat, why you have this little baby on the thing? Why you have the
Yeah,
baby there?
at Kai Cenat's house.
Come on, man. You seen how Kai Cenat's house get down?
It's just chaotic. It's pure chaos.
Poor little baby. He just wanted to go home.
Oh.
Okay? Be up underneath his mom or something, with his toys. But you know what? Anyway,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a long road, Haley.
Yeah, that's why. I
It's a
mean, we can only
long
we try.
road.
I mean, the people tried to warn her. The people tried to warn her. So
Well,
I mean, there's nothing to say now. The
and I'm
baby's
not
here.
saying that probably DDG is a nice guy away from this persona he's trying to,
Mm,
set for himself. Maybe
mm,
he is. There was something that she saw in him,
mm-hmm.
right? But then she had her child, and her maturity level
Yeah.
has soared, and he
Mm,
still stayed the same. Like so. But hey, can you not take people out the group chat? Like, why was that
that too.
message necessary? I
That
think you
too.
should have just sent it to him. You know, sent it to him. Now you have it in the streets. Like, I don't know. It just
Yeah.
it just looks, sloppy in the streets, especially for, Little Mermaid. Come on, girl. Disney don't like that shit. But you know what? We're gonna move on into our only segment then.
Okay, so we're going to be doing another lot of mercy.
A lot of mercy, geez, on Tetevilla.
And in this segment, we talk about stories where we're just left thinking, a lot of mercy, Lord have mercy, Lord take the wheel kind of news.
Please. Mm-hmm.
And this week we were just talking about Kai Cenat's Streamathon. Another person who was a part of that was a rapper, Kodak Black.
Mm-hmm.
And who Kodak Black was cooked. He was high as a kite.
Right?
And
The man's not
and
coming down anytime soon,
it
see?
when it wasn't regular high. That it,
No.
we
Mm-mm.
wouldn't be talking about if it's regular
No.
high, because Kodak Black is generally a little
Hi.
touch. Yeah.
Generally
Okay.
speaking. Yeah.
Generally speaking, and I think a while back, I don't remember when, but when he was on the Drink Champs, everybody was talking about him there as well. There's one thing to be taking drugs. It's another thing to look like a crackhead. I know it sounds hypocritical and ironic or whatever, but we know that's real. There's people that we know take
Mm-hmm.
substances on a regular basis, like a Future or something. But
Yeah.
when you but from when you but if he were to stop looking like the Future that we know and to start looking like Ray Ray on the corner,
Right?
who's a crackhead for 20
Can't deal with
years,
Ray Ray. Mm-mm.
then
Mm-mm.
then we're gonna be like, ooh, that this is it's really it's at a different level. We're not just taking drugs for shits and giggles. We're doing drugs as it's gotten past the point of it's gotten in a dangerous place. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're talking about it again because
It's been
Kai,
in a dangerous place.
yeah,
Because I
because
don't believe nothing that nobody was saying before. A lie to my lie.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because after Drink Champs, it looks like they try everybody. There was a big outcry and criticism to what's his face. What's the guy who hosts it? I'm sorry, my brain is blanking right now. Who-
Noriega?
Nori, yeah. So Noriega for even airing it or even continuing it when he was in that condition, and we talked about it. And then a few months later, his team and his PR was like, "Yeah, Kodak is doing better.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah,
did
right.
rehab, da 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 da." And he did not look as bad because he looked really bad on Drink Champs. He was woo. He was bad on Drink Champs, right?
Well, then it's been bad for, like, start back at least for another few months because this man looked like he's heavy in that shit again. Like, heavy.
Yes, because
Not, oh, I just had a relapse. This is heavy.
yeah, because he's lost weight again,
Mm-hmm.
and in the stream he
A
was
lot of weight. Like, a lot.
yeah, because he already got skinny from when he left jail, and then when he was on Drink Champs, he looked maga like a crackhead.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like he was gaining a little bit, looking a little bit better around that
Right?
time when they were trying to do PR on him, and now he's back to looking like how he looked on Drink Champs, which is very skinny, and we don't know him to be a skinny man when he's healthy,
Exactly.
or at least not that skinny. And so, anyway, he visibly is seen popping a pill in the stream. I don't know if you saw that clip. He
I did,
literally
which are
he
sad.
says he take I can't I think he said something a switch for the twitch something like that. I don't know. He said something, and I'm trying not to laugh because he actually is naturally very funny. But this is not a laughing matter. This is not a laughing matter. He there's a few times where his eyes is bugging out when he's talking to or Kai Cenat's trying to talk to him and engage with him, but he's tweaking. So that's why you see his eyes bugging out and he's like, "What?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then he does a freestyle that is completely nonsensical about not wanting to have sex and da 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 da. And it was just like, what? Some
I
it's
don't know
times
who that
it's
person was.
it's times like this, or I'm like, does somebody write for him? Because there are, even though his music, to be honest, he actually has some good music, and I've always questioned him, like, how can this guy who seems so incoherent and on another planet make a coherent rap? Like, and talk about his recording music, obviously not the freestyle that he just did, that crackheaded
Mhm.
freestyle that he did on the stream. It's strange. And then yeah, and I wonder, it's like, again, the debate is, should his team not allow him to go on podcasts or do events like this where his problem is like has a magnifying glass?
Right. Well, right. Well, okay. First, I'm gonna take that question like this.
Yeah.
First, Kodak, somebody in your camp, please, somebody in your camp needs to tell you the reality. Okay? The reality is you look strung out.
Hmm.
The reality is that you look cracked out. The reality is you're tweaking beyond control. The
Hmm.
reality is if you don't step back from these heavy drugs that you're taking, okay? You'll die. That's the fact. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. Now that we've dealt with the facts, I'm going to say this. Kodak Black, your team is trying to create an image around you being high. I'm gonna call it out. I'm gonna call it out because I don't understand why they're still allowing you to get in front of a camera.
Hmm.
So when I see Drink Champs, because Drink Champs was bad, that was
Yeah,
bad.
that was bad. That he was
He
because that's
what?
like a longer, that's like usually gym champs, you're going to be there 2 3 hours. It's going to be a 2 3 hour
Yeah,
podcast.
and you are drinking and you are smoking, right?
Hmm.
So Drink Champs, hence the name, right? So that was horrible. And I thought that his team would have said to themselves, you know what? We can't put you in front of a camera until we know for certain that you've kicked this. Because you're going to make yourself look like your brand. is about being high, because we're not hearing nearly as much music that we used to hear from you, Kodak. We're not seeing you as much as we used to see you. I will say that, musically, I think that you have a lot of talent when you're not high, when
Yeah.
you're sober minded, when you've been in a detox for at least a few months. I think you do have a lot of musical talent. However, you need to put them drugs down. They're making you slur your words. And we couldn't understand you much before.
Before, without.
Okay? So it's getting harder, Kodak. It's getting harder. Um, the image that you're sending out to young people who are watching you is the most disturbing for me. That's the most disturbing. Drink Champs, it was really bad, and I was like, okay, maybe he doesn't realize what's popping. But now your whole team has been on this. They know what's happening. So why you have a Percocet and you're in front of a camera? Only God knows how that happened. If your team was watching you properly, there's no way you should be popping anything on camera.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you don't want to stay sober, if you want to take these drugs and your team can't control that, but your team should, I feel like they have a responsibility not to put you in front of camera. Make
Yeah.
sure your ass don't you are not filmed when you are high out of your mind like this, because when I saw you at one point, you were the clip I saw, you were on a phone. Okay. I don't know what you were doing on the phone.
He
Okay,
doesn't even
because
know
you're
what
on
he
the
was
live
doing.
with Kai Cenat. Like, I didn't understand that part. But we want to call people and things. Okay. You could barely dial the number. You could barely turn on the screen. You were swaying like these were some waves up in here. Like, you were swaying back and forth. Kai Cenat had to look up at you with his little eye. Kai Cenat, he's too damn funny sometimes, I tell you. His face and his facial feet, like how he was looking at you at the side of his eye, like, what the hell? What are you doing on this live right here? What are you
Hmm.
doing? Yo, you need to stand straight, friend. Like, you need to stand. It was disgusting. Because the last time that I saw you like this, it was on Drink Champs, and there's a continuous thing that's happening here, Kodak, and I feel like somebody has to stop this. At least if they can't control you getting high, don't put you in front of a camera. That's all I'm saying. Somebody in the team needs to get that memo. We need not to put him in front of a camera until we know he's sober for at least a year. So this looked really bad to me. And to be quite honest, why I feel it should be in the lot of mercy is because only God, Lord Jesus, have to take that wheel. Because Kodak, you are driving that car into a ditch, for real, for real. Because now you're becoming a laughing stock. If you think about it, he is. Nobody's talking about Kodak's music.
Mm. Mm-mm, no. No.
They're talking about you being, so high you can barely stand up straight. Right? And so even after a while, that's going to get stale. People aren't going to give a shit. We live in a microwavable society. So it's sad that this is when I thought, okay, your team said you're back on track. I thought I would see a back on track type of guy. I didn't see no back on track. It looked like you steady declining. That's what it looked like. I feel bad for him because I don't know what demons are you fighting, my friend? Because this is scary. It's sad to see because I'm seeing your demise, and it feels like, who's helping him? Like, these teams that are formed around these huge successful, celebrities. Are you like, is it not your job to make sure that they're okay? Is it not your job to make sure that the brand stays, relevant and people can relate to, like, this right here? I don't know, man. It didn't look good, man. It didn't look good. It didn't look good. It looked like just a step up from Drink Champs. That's what
Hmm.
it looked like to me. You know, it was always hard for me to understand him when he spoke. So for me, it was like, okay, I still can't understand. Um, but I really hope that he gets help. I really, really hope that he gets real help because this right here, this looked like nobody's helping you. You know, and as we were just talking about Liam Payne, like, hello, somebody needs to sit you down and tell you the realities of this right here. Because I think you think that this is gonna last forever. It won't. It won't. So somebody needs to bring him into check and really maybe, he needs to go on a bit of a hiatus and get himself clean and come out
Hmm.
with some new music, in hopes that people will forget this type of display of highness. Like you were just high as a kite. Like you were out to lunch. Like I'm telling you, I could see it in Kai Cenat's face. He was like, okay. What am I do with him now? Like, what am I gonna do with this
Oh yeah,
guy?
poor
Like,
Kai Cenat was like, anybody from the team want to come save me?
right? Please? Like, I don't know what
Well,
I'm
I,
supposed to
I
do with this
I guess
guy.
we'll end this. Well, and following that, obviously, it was bad as we've just described. It was as bad as we're saying, and so he the next day decided to pop on his phone, and it was not making sense to me. I'm like, somebody translate this, and it just sounded like somebody who's in denial. Um,
Yeah,
essentially, and he's like saying people don't care about him. They da 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 da. Talk about other people take shrooms and this and that. This isn't about other people. This is about you. We're worried about you, Kodak. Are you worried about yourself?
that's the
Um,
question.
but I think
Mm-hmm.
he's in that phase where when we talk about addicts, it's like if they don't want to help themselves or can't see that they need help, it's hard. It's hard to get them to change. But I think to your point, his people should not enable him. But again, everybody's greedy, everybody's thinking about money, and we
Yeah.
forget about that we're dealing with a human being here. And yeah, so it's sad.
Yeah, and it is sad, but I think it's a valuable lesson that we're learning here with celebrities, and in terms of their teams. I don't know if it's really a team. I don't know if I can really call it a team. I don't know how a team could watch this young man high as a kite in front of millions of people. Yes, Haley had to remind us of that. It's in front of millions of people. But with all that said, we hope the best for him and that he gets the help that he needs. And at the very least, I mean, hopefully a new team, will come about, or somebody will do something for this boy, because somebody needs to help him. He needs real help, real help. And
Mhm.
with all that said, we do hope that your hearts and minds were activated on this week's show. So whether you lead with your heart or your mind, please stay passionate and thoughtful, and we'll holler back real soon. Bye.
Bye.